think that was my biggest fear. How is this going to affect my parents? I wasn't even thinking about, oh, how's this affecting me or my children?
When I tried to leave him for real, I was fearful for my life.
If nothing else changed, then every single day we're reliving that fear, the same fear, plus more fear, the longer we stay in that relationship. And it's really, really challenging.
I hate feeling that I'm scared of something, right? It's because why should something control you?
It's time that I have to pluck up the courage and do something.
Past experiences is close enough to show, okay, if you survive there, you can survive again. Welcome back, Jen, to another episode of In Her Steps. What are we going to talk about?
Oh my goodness, I think today it's a good idea to tackle the topic of fear. I think when I was reading through some of the comments that people make when they're watching your video, one of the lady actually mentioned that it was fear that made her stay, but watching your video freed her from her fear.
That's right.
So I thought, wow, that one word can really paralyze us.
Yeah.
Exactly in that spot.
Well, just for people's context, so I made a video about 5 years ago. It was just a very low budget video. It was just me in front of the camera, and I decided to just share my story of how I survived as a single mum. And that video kind of went quite viral. There's like 100,000 views or something like that. And what I love about it is that over the years, people are still finding it, and it's just changing one life at a time. At the time I did it, I didn't really think too much, and as I've revisited, I'm like, oh my God, one video like such as this could actually reach people from Africa, from Asia, from everywhere. And so I'm grateful for that. And yeah, I think it's a great chance for us to now revisit some of those questions and start answering it. So yeah, let's talk about fear. Yeah. What is fear? And what were some of your fear when you were...
I think the biggest fear I had was what would people think? Not so much about me, but how's this going to affect my whole family? So how's that going to affect my parents? I think that was my biggest fear. How is this going to affect my parents? I wasn't even thinking about, oh, how's this affecting me or my children? The first thing for me was, how would this affect my parents? Because in my family, we've always known to be close, and we're a certain type, and we were very disciplined. Like my father was almost like military disciplining us. And so for me, the biggest thing was, how is this going to affect everyone in the family?
Yeah. I think I had a sense of fear in that sense, more around, I hate losing. I realized that I'm a bit competitive, and I really believed that this relationship was going to go well. Well, I thought he was going to change for me. And I was like, don't worry, Mum, I proved to you he's going to change. And then realizing, when you're young, you just think that you can change people, but you can't. And so then I think when I realized that, no, he's not going to change, and he is not the person that you thought he is. I think I was just so annoyed and disappointed, because I love winning. I think ultimately that I had a sense of that, but ultimately there was so much more fear for me. There was fear that, well, first of all, I don't want to be lonely. I was so addicted to being in love. I didn't know it at that time, but I was addicted to be in a relationship. And then eventually, when I tried to leave him for real, I was fearful for my life. I mean, he's had a knife on my throat. He's followed me around. He's, said, I'll hurt you. He said, even when I'm like, whatever, I don't care anymore, he said, I'll hurt myself. So there's just so much threat and, real physical harm that I knew that I could face if I leave. So I think there were, I guess, legit fear. But ultimately, I realized that if I just allowed fear to stop me from going, then I'm going to be exactly where I am. And so I just had to be brave enough to go.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest part too, because when fear paralyzes you and you're exactly where you are, what people don't realize is, if they are exactly where they are, every single day they're reliving that fear. Because every single day, if nothing else changed, then every single day we're reliving that fear, the same fear, plus more fear, the longer we stay in that relationship. And it's really, really challenging.
Yeah. And look, I feel like I'm fortunate in that the relationship was painful and I had to do something about it. I think there are relationships where it's not super painful. It's kind of bad, but not
it's
good.
bearable. It's one of
Yes.
those relationships. Okay, the most dangerous one is the bearable one.
Yes.
Just bearable. So you kind of go, okay, it's almost like that weightlifting
Yes.
and you're lifting, you're managing and you're not, that's bad.
I think that's the hardest one. And because I've seen other women who are like, yeah, but, he's not that bad. Like, he's still doing a bit of this, but, like, I know my life could be better, or I know that something that needs to change, but it's not bad enough for you to leave,
Yeah.
I mean, I would say my parents have had a long relationship, and it's been one of those battles. I'm glad that they kind of survived till now because they have gone better, but overall it's not too bad, so it's lasted. And I think some of the fears from women is just a fear of change. Like, I'm so comfortable to be in this relationship, even if it's painful or it's not right, it's still more comforting than being alone or being uncertain.
Yeah, I think when you're saying the word alone, it's interesting too, because people can be in a relationship and can feel very lonely, and they stay in that lonely relationship, fear of the unknown, fear of giving up this lonely relationship, yet they feel like, why am I so lonely and yet I'm in a relationship? And that's also a really, really tough spot to be in. And then you're watching your friends, and you do have hope, and people do have hope, and people see that other people are in very committed, loving relationship. But these people, I think, that is in this lonely relationship, that's where cheating comes in.
Yes.
And I think they just feel like they have to go and find some outlet or somebody who fulfill this little spot that they have, this lonely spot.
Yeah.
And it's sad to see.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, if you're in a wrong relationship, eventually someone's going to hurt someone. It's just a matter of time. I almost always used to imagine it's like, you want one painful stab, or do you want like this ongoing little painful thing, right? And that could go on forever. It's not, super painful, but it just prolongs.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I think the way I approach life has always been kind of like in, out, kind of like, if I'm feeling something, do something about it. And so the longest relationship I've ever been in anything prior to my current relationship is like about 2 years. It feels quite intense and lots of drama, but still, when I'm aware that this is not right, I kind of do something about it. Whereas I know that there are others who tend to kind of drag it on.
Yes.
And then I think the longer you drag it,
it's more painful.
Yes.
It's so much more painful.
Yeah.
Like, you talk about the scenario, I just think of it like waxing. You either wax it off
yes.
really quickly, or you pull the hair, one hair at a time, tick, tick, tick,
Yes.
tick, tick. Oh my God, it's just like so intense and painful. But
get over and done with.
I know, but
yeah.
the thing is, here's an interesting thing, Lynn, because you have this attitude towards life where you actually go for it. You're a go-getter. So you're always going for it. And sometimes, whether, just jump in first and figure it out. That's just your attitude. But you have the stamina to persevere, to fix it until it's done. See, not many people have that within them.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, for example, people who has fear really need a dosage of that.
Yeah.
So how, if you have that in a syringe or whatever, what would it look like?
I would say that my first test in terms of facing uncertainty and facing my fear was at the age of 14 when I ran away.
Oh wow!
So think about this: you're young, you don't have money, you don't have a house, and you might have a boyfriend and friends that you can stay with, but I was so against the way my parents were treating me that I was like, if you hurt me or if you treat me wrong, I'm going. And I remember convincing myself, like, okay, how do I actually go? But I'm gonna go. Like you're planning in your head and you're really egging yourself on. And then it just takes that day when you're like, that's it, I'm deciding,
Oh.
And then I did it. I planned it. I had a bag of stuff, and I coordinated with a cousin who my mum used to drive both of us to school. I said, okay, when I jump out, you come out and you bring the bag for me. She was an accessory to my running away. And once you've done it, you've done it. And then you kind of can't reverse back, and your parents are wondering where you are. And then, ultimately I ended up having to come home because I was still underage. But having survived that, you kind of realize that,
I can do it.
Yeah, things will always work out. Like, in a sense, it's like whatever you think is so scary. Like, I don't know about you, but I used to also wag school. Wagging in Melbourne terms is called, skipping class.
Oh, yes.
And the first time we're
No, I
skipping
don't
class,
know, Lynn. I've never skipped any class.
The first time I skipped class, it was scary. This adrenaline rush, and you don't know if you're going to get through it. And then once you've done it, you're like, oh my God, I did it, And so I think it's a muscle of facing your fear. Look, it's a bad example. I don't encourage people to skip class, running away from home in that sense. But those were, I guess it's a big deal, right? Think of it, you're so young and you're trying to run away from your family. Your parents are going to be so angry. And at that time, I was very scared of my parents. So I didn't know what the consequences were if I ever got caught coming back again. But I did it. And so ever since then, my tolerance in terms of ability to embrace uncertainty, to not know what's going to happen, you get better. Right? But it's not that you can figure everything. Like, the thing is, every new circumstance is scary. Like, you've never dated a guy like this before. You've never had a circumstance where he's hurting you. They're all new experiences. It's not like you've done it, but still, past experiences is close enough to show, okay, if you survive there, you can survive again. And so I think that's why I can start a business and I can go through uncertainty better than others, or I can, throughout a lot of my older, recent times, all my other challenges, it's so menial to the challenges that I've gone through in the past because I've just put myself through it.
Wow. I think your experiences, and I think the more experience, I guess it's like the whole thing, the more experience we have, the more adaptable we can be, and the more confidence of ourselves that we can adapt and we can survive. And while I didn't have the same experience as you, I didn't have the privilege to have the courage. I would have to say that I didn't have the courage to skip school, do anything wrong. I don't know, because I just had this fear, and that was one of my fear. And I didn't know why when I was younger. Like sometimes like little kids, they go and steal a pencil or do something like that. I didn't have a courage to go to the shop and steal a pencil. Not that I'm saying it's good, but I just didn't have the courage to do any of those things. Because when we talk about fear from a very young age, my biggest fear was to not do the right thing. So, to do the wrong thing is like the biggest fear. So that's why when I was thinking about, I was in this terrible relationship and getting so sick to the point where I was on like more than 20 tablets a day for my heart, for my brain, for my everything else, thyroid, everything else. It's just making me so sick. But I so fearful of doing the wrong thing because I thought leaving the relationship is the wrong thing. So that is the biggest fear. And the fear of what's happening, like I said, to my family and what my parents think. But in saying that, I think, Lynn, anyone who has gone through any challenges, whether it's, how big the challenge are, I think, they have the opportunity to learn to manage, things that can change anytime, to learn to manage the environment. And I think that's a great thing.
Yeah. Look, ultimately, you will get to the point where you've had enough and you will go, right? But how long do you want to keep waiting to be hurt, to be in pain? There are women out there that eventually, get murdered, or put their kids at harm because they just waited too long, right? And so I love that when you know that you need to do something and you can be more proactive with it and you can take control. I've even got people that I know, I'm not going to mention name, but, I had this woman that said that, look, I don't really love my relationship, but I'll just wait till my partner leaves me. It's like she just doesn't even want to be the one doing, taking the action because she thinks she's in denial that she's got the fear of leaving, fear of uncertainty, but thinking as if like, oh, fine, I'll just wait for them, and so then you're losing your power. You're basically, and sometimes they even blame on, well, I just have an unlucky life, or I've been dealt this card. But no, you actually have a chance. You know what's right and wrong. You know what's good for you, but you're choosing not to do something about it. And anytime that you lose, anytime that you're still in this relationship, then it's robbing away the opportunity to be in a bit better future. I'm not saying you have to go into a new relationship, but a better future. And this leads me to also that worry that people have is that I've already invested all these
Time.
Yes. What a waste of that time.
Yes.
But, oh my God, there's still, even at our age now, I'm 40-something, you're 50-something, and we could still have 30 years. That's a long time, 20, 30
Lynn,
years.
people are living a lot longer. What happened if you're living until 150?
Yes.
Look how much time you've got.
Yes. So there's still so much time, right? A year still feels a long time, and a decade is heaps. Yeah.
I think the hardest thing is, like you say, when you make that decision, and not everyone has the courage to make that decision, and they're not going to say, maybe they're not even aware that they don't have the courage, but they say, oh, they'll put on circumstance or situation, the kids or whatever. But it can get quite dangerous, and this takes me to wanting to ask you about why. Like, I know of people who are in like violent relationship, like domestic violent relationship, where they're being beaten and things like that. And it's really, really hard to say to them, this is not right. And this is not what you want your children to see, because you don't want your children to accept this because you accepted this, because, the children are watching us. And this is not safe. And what happened if one day he raised his hand to the kids? But they come back with, you don't understand. Now, this is where I want to ask you, if somebody says, Lynn, you just don't understand, what would you say?
Look, I've been there, and it's very complicated because you're so in love, you're so manipulated, that it gets to the point where you're also blamed for their action. Like, if it wasn't for your action, I wouldn't have hurt you. And also, their abilities to say, I'm so sorry, like, I didn't mean it. And there's this kind of high low in that relationship where when it's high, it's so high, like.
So would you say that it's like intense?
It's intense, like when you're in love, and the makeup sex or the makeup kiss, whatever, it's so intense and passionate, but then they could really hurt you so badly, like to the point that you're broken, but yet they can rebuild it really fast because of this, this intenseness that they bring to you. So I know it's very hard. And the thing is, every single time that it happens, you feel like it's going to be a different time. I was there, I know. Yeah. It was like, I won't do that again, but this time it was different. They'll justify, but you also justify. Yeah. And so there's the reason why you keep coming back is because you have hope. And then you also start to blame yourself. I was in a relationship where I got to the point at the end where, because he was so jealous, that I started to feel like I should walk around with a bag in my head. Like, it was like I was kind of like, there was this like invisible bag that I was covering myself. And I also was convinced that it was my fault that these people are looking at me. I got so paranoid to the point that I started to think everyone likes me, because he had it in my head that he said, everyone likes you, or it's your fault that you made them like you. And so imagine this, after years of dating, that you start to walk, but you're paranoid. You actually think everyone's talking about you. That this guy's liking you. Even someone's husband or partner is, looking at you funny. It's because you're so convinced that way.
You're so paranoid because he's put it in your head. Yes. He planted that seed. And Lynn, do you think that men purposely do that so that, how you say, they break you down until you're completely broken, then they rebuild you up and then break you down again? Yeah. Do you think that they are addicted to that process somehow?
Yeah.
Do they get some satisfaction out of it?
For my own situation there, looking back now, he's a broken guy. He has problem. He has trauma. At the time, I was attracting to that because I also had issues, right? And so if we all have our own issues and we've got lots of baggage in there, and we come together and it's just problems, right? And so
Lynn, it's like fried rice of baggages. Fried rice. Throw everything in.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
So it is so important to take time to really learn about ourselves. So even if you're stuck in a relationship right now, it doesn't mean that you can just go, oh, wait until I leave him and then I'll do work on myself. No, let's just start doing some work on yourself now and figure out even how you got here. You got to do your work. So basically going back in time and think about the way you were raised up. For me, it was lack of love from my parents that made me, go out hunting for love. Yeah. And because I was miserable inside and I was hunting for anything and anyone that would fill me up, anyone that could give me that attention. And I'm not aware of,
the danger involved.
Exactly. And then once I start loving myself after I wasn't in a relationship anymore, I attracted someone better because I was in a better place. So I think work on yourself, even if you're in a bad relationship, and start defining what you're fearful of. Like, why aren't you leaving? And just take your time. I love reflection nowadays. I wish at that time I learnt about journaling, reflections, because it allows you to really write down and not just having all these things in your head, but it's like, okay, why am I not leaving? What is the pros and cons? What has he done? Because sometimes in a bad relationship, you get so angry, that they've done wrong. But then the moment they suck up, you forgot everything.
I know.
Because you never ever took time to write everything down.
I think for women who definitely is in a relationship where they're not comfortable with, I think journaling is a great idea. It's it's you just keeping an eye on yourself. And then when you revisit, then you realize, hey, there's a pattern here. Or, hey, I should do something about this. And how is this different? It's the same thing over and over and over. So maybe it's time that I have to pluck up the courage and do something.
Yeah. And look, as an older woman now in my 40s, I love...
Lynn, please don't say as an older woman now in my 40s, because there's a lot of women out there who's in their 40s and 50s who might not feel like an older woman, Lynn.
As someone more mature... even though I'm in a healthier relationship now, I love identifying what I'm fearful of. I'm fearful of public speaking. So I go and learn more public speaking. I do Toastmasters because I hate feeling that I'm scared of something, right? It's because why should something control you? And so then I always lean in, and if something is scary, it's actually something good for you. I'm not saying like go and do something stupid, like just keep on jumping off bridges and things for fun and try to face that fear. I'm talking about when you're like, that public speaking is good for you because it's good for your career, good for your business, etc. But you are fearful and you tell yourself, oh, I'm not that kind of person, or, I don't like public speaking. That's just excuses, right? And so I challenged myself to go and learn that. And whatever you learn in life, whether it's public speaking, whether it's learning how to, whatever it is, it helps you to pass it on to other areas in life too. Because I always love this quote, how you do one thing is how you do everything. Yeah? So if you can face fear in one area, you start to feel a bit stronger, then you can start to feel better here, and then you might come back to your relationship and have high expectations. Like, I'm not tolerating this anymore. I have high expectation for myself in this relationship.
Yeah. No, definitely facing your fear. And like you say, I like the fact that you say when you face your fear and you learn something, you overcome it, you become more... I suppose you have more courage to keep moving because it's like, I've done one, tick. If you've never done one, that's the most... I guess that's the most, how would I say this? If you've never done one, you feel really, really nervous about everything. But like you say, every skills that we have is a privilege to be able to learn. So have the courage to learn, I always say, and every skills bleed into other areas in your life. So I like the fact that you talk about public speaking, because public speaking, they say, is the, like, it's even, people fear public speaking the most. More than death. And I was like, really? But if you actually bring it down, what it really is just communication. And to be able to learn to communicate in an effective way, in an efficient way. That would actually help people across all areas of their life. So for those that fear public speaking, I say go and join your local Toastmasters like Lynn. I think it's a great skill to have. And there's another quote that I like too, and I always go with, is do hard things and your life will be easy. Do easy things and your life will be hard. And so it's always like that, like... It is. You can't avoid it, can you?
And another thing that helps me to face fear and also have better standards for myself is I always, like, I think you mentioned before about your kids, witnessing things and what example. And so basically I always tell myself, like, how do I want to be an example to my kids? If I'm a fearful person, if I tolerate this kind of treatment, if I, have low standards, then what am I teaching my kids? And, we as mums, we love our kids. We want them to grow up successful and happy and strong. And the only way or the best way is to really demonstrate that. And so if you can't do it for yourself, do it for your kids.
Yeah, I think a lot of women, if you say that, they will probably step up because often enough they won't do it for themselves, but they'll do it for their kids. But yes, absolutely agree. What we are willing to tolerate teaches our children almost, I would say, 90% of what they're willing to tolerate, because they watch and they mirror what we do, and they kind of go, well, mum's always like that, or that's how I know relationship is supposed to be. So when I grew up and I saw my parents, like their loving relationship, and my mum and dad has a beautiful relationship where they really just love each other and always there. They would cook together, wash dishes together, to that point. And the most funniest time was when I saw my mum cooking and she's about to go out, and my dad would be doing her hair from the back.
So unique, I swear. That never happens in an Asian house.
I know. To this day, I regret not taking that photo. And, you know, she's at the front cooking and my dad's in the back blow drying her hair. And then when she finishes, he comes and stick eyelashes on her, you know, and it's that sort of relationship. And I had always longed, because that's what I grew up seeing, that relationship as a loving, like that's supposed to be a husband-wife relationship. So I keep longing for that relationship. But I couldn't find that relationship. And, you know, and until today, I would say that my parents, when they met each other, I believe that they were in love. So Lynn, when you met, I believe you're in love. But to me, till this day, all my life, I don't know what that feeling in love is. I don't think I've ever felt in love. And I just watched my mum and dad's relationship, waiting for this person that comes into my life that could complete my life in a certain way. And I realized, you know what, I don't run out and I don't date because I fear that I won't find someone like that. You know what I mean? And so that's another fear. So I have to overcome this this expectation of, you know, and it can be, I mean, good relationship can be many different good relationships. I guess I just only saw my parents' relationship and just imagine that is the relationship. Yeah.
Look, I think if your dream are free, you can dream. So why not dream and believe that you can have that relationship is number one. And, you know, like, even though I didn't have that example, my parents were complete opposite to that, but I still eventually realized, no, I deserve better. I want a relationship where the guy really loves me and, you know, respects me and all that. And, you know, even though he doesn't get to the point where he's doing my hair, you know, but still, you know what's good enough for you, right? Yes. As long as you know you're not settling for, you know that you're both trying and he's a good person. Like, you can't have the exact, but you still could have good enough. Yeah. But I still think dream big and believe that you can have that guy that treats you, you know, like a princess, like what your parents did. Why not? And when you truly believe it, it will come. As long as we're also not attached to the outcome so much. Yeah. We just know it will happen when it's the right time.
Yeah. I always believe that if it's supposed to be, it'll be. And when that time comes, the right person will come. And if the right person doesn't come, then I be the right person for myself. So I guess that's why I kind of have to say that I kind of feel like an investment in myself is much better than an investment in any guy in a relationship. And so because of that, I usually do focus on about, you know, what's possible, what else can I do, where else can I go, what kind of experiences would I like to have, you know. So my focus is pretty much about me, and I just want, because I have 2 girls, so I really just want my children to have that mindset as well. But my daughter is lucky because she have her husband and he's beautiful. Their relationship is going to be the type of relationship like my mum and dad. So you can see it already, you know. And so I'm very, very grateful for that. Thank you, God. But I think for women, if you don't have that, if you're not ready for that relationship, and the right person hasn't come, do focus on yourself and see what else is possible.
There's only the win-win for that. I mean, because you invest in yourself, you take yourself with you, and if that right person comes, they can enjoy you with you. But otherwise, you've got you to enjoy. If that makes sense.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, you have to enjoy. Hello. Have you ever tried hugging yourself? It's like, So I think that's a great wrap up as we explored what fear is and some tips around fear. I mean, we would love to hear from you if we haven't answered something or there's still certain fear that we haven't covered. This is a conversation I really want our audience to feel like it's like they're sitting here with us.
Yes.
They're having this conversation with us.
Yes.
And they're feeling like chiming in and asking a question. Well,
Yes.
they can. Just write in the comments,
Yes.
right? And then we can talk further in the next episode.
Yes. So before we go, I just want to say, if you have a fear or something, as long as it's legal and it's not dangerous, then do have the courage, pluck up the courage, and just go for it. And it might not be perfect, and it will never be as you think it would be. I will tell you that much right now. But sometimes it might even surprise you and even be better than what you think it will be.
And you know what? We only have one life. Make the most of it.
Yeah.
Life is so short. Be yourself. Go for it.
Yep.
Yeah.
With
All
that,
right. Yay!